Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be completely alone, facing the full fury of nature? Imagine a lone lighthouse, a single beacon of hope standing against a storm so powerful it seems to want to swallow the world whole. Tonight, the sea is not a friend. It's a monster, and only one man stands in its way. His name is Thomas, a man who chose solitude over the bustling world. For years, he has been the keeper of the St. Jude's Head Lighthouse, perched on a jagged cliff at the edge of the world. His life is a quiet rhythm of polishing brass, winding the clockwork of the giant lens, and watching the horizon. He isn't running from anything. He's running toward something, a purpose. His duty is simple, but sacred. To keep the light burning, a guardian angel for sailors navigating these treacherous, ruck-strewn waters. Every flicker of his lamp is a promise of safe passage, a silent conversation with ships he will never see. He knows the names of the reefs below like the back of his hand: the widow's kiss, the devil's teeth. And he knows that without his light, these names become grim realities. This evening, something is different. An unnatural quiet has fallen over the coast. The gulls, usually so boisterous, have vanished. A strange, metallic taste hangs in the air. The sky, once a brilliant canvas of sunset hues, is now bruised with shades of purple and green. Dark, heavy clouds gather on the horizon, not drifting, but marching toward him with an unnerving speed. The wind, which had been a gentle sea breeze, now whispers secrets through the cracks in the old stone, a low, mournful hum that sends a shiver down his spine. The sea itself, usually a predictable swell, has turned into a restless, oily blackness, its surface twitching as if something ancient and angry is stirring in its depths. Thomas, with a lifetime of experience reading the moods of the ocean, feels a knot tighten in his stomach. This isn't just a storm. This is a reckoning. He double-checks every latch, every shutter, preparing for a battle he knows is coming. And then, it arrives. The transition from eerie calm to sheer chaos is terrifyingly swift. A low rumble escalates into a deafening roar, as if the sky itself is being torn apart. The first wave hits the cliff base, not like a splash, but like a demolition. The entire lighthouse shudders from the impact, and the sound is a deep, bone-jarring boom that echoes through the stone tower. Rain begins to fall, not in drops, but in solid, horizontal sheets, driven by a wind that screams like a banshee. He watches from the lantern room as the sea transforms into a churning vortex of white foam and black water. Waves, monstrous and impossibly high, rise up like liquid mountains, their crests reaching for the sky before they detonate against the rocks below, sending plumes of spray hundreds of feet into the air. The world outside is a symphony of destruction, and Thomas is at its very center. The lighthouse, a structure that has stood for over 100 years, begins to groan under the relentless assault. Each wave that crashes against the tower feels like a battering ram, shaking the foundations and sending tremors all the way up to the lantern room where Thomas stands. He can feel the floor vibrating beneath his feet. A fine mist forces its way through the thick glass of the lantern, coating everything in a layer of salt. He hears a sickening crack from below a shutter, torn from its hinges. The storm isn't just outside anymore, it's trying to get in. His worst fear begins to creep into his mind. If the structure fails, if water gets into the lamp mechanism, the light will go out. And in this maelstrom, a ship without a light is a ship sailing to its doom. He knows there are vessels out there, caught in the storm, trusting him, trusting his light to guide them through the darkness. The weight of that responsibility is heavier than any wave. The fight for the light begins. It's a primal struggle of man against the elements. The wind shrieks through the tower, finding every tiny crack and turning it into a howling vent. Rainwater starts to seep in, dripping from the ceiling and running in rivulets down the curved stone walls. He rushes down the winding staircase, the wind pushing against the tower door with such force that the thick oak wood bulges inward. He uses all his strength to reinforce the braces, his muscles straining against the storm's invisible, immense power. Back in the lantern room, the giant lens, his precious beacon, is being shaken violently. He has to manually adjust the rotation, his hands steady despite the chaos, ensuring the beam continues its life-saving sweep across the raging sea. Every creak of the tower, every roar of the wind, is a new threat he must face, a new problem he must solve, alone in the heart of the tempest. Just when he thinks the storm has reached its peak, the ocean unleashes its true fury. He looks out the window and sees it a wave unlike any he has ever witnessed. It's not a wave. It's a moving wall of water, a liquid apocalypse blotting out the sky. For a terrifying, eternal second, everything goes silent as the colossal wave curls over the lighthouse. Then, impact. The sound is not a crash. It's an explosion. The entire tower is engulfed. The world outside vanishes into a churning abyss of black water and white spray. The glass of the lantern room groans, threatening to shatter. The tower lurches with such violence that Thomas is thrown against the wall. For one heart-stopping moment, he feels a sickening shift, a sensation of falling, as if the ancient stones are finally giving way, and the lighthouse is about to be ripped from its foundations and dragged into the sea. In that moment, he closes his eyes, bracing for the end. But the end does not come. The wave passes. The tower still stands. Shaken, bruised, but defiant. Thomas clings to the railing, his heart pounding in his chest. He could give up. He could huddle in the relative safety of the lower levels and pray for survival. But that's not who he is. He is the keeper. As the night deepens, the storm rages on, an endless barrage of wind and water. Exhaustion gnaws at him, but he refuses to surrender. He patrols the tower, from the flooded base to the trembling lantern room, a lonely soldier on a vertical battlefield. He mops up water, tightens bolts, and talks to his light, whispering words of encouragement as if it were a living thing. Through the darkest, most desperate hours, as the world outside is torn apart, Thomas and his light fight on together. A single, unwavering point of defiance in an ocean of chaos. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the rhythm of the storm begins to change. The constant, deafening roar subsides into a deep, guttural growl. The machine gun rattle of the rain against the glass softens, as the first hint of dawn paints a fragile gray line on the horizon. The wind's shriek lowers to a weary moan. Thomas watches as the monstrous waves begin to lose their terrifying height, their fury spent. The sea, though still rough and angry, is no longer a swirling vortex of death. The sun breaks through the retreating clouds, its rays catching the mist and creating a breathtaking, ethereal glow. The storm is over. As the morning light fully illuminates the scene, the true scale of the night's battle is revealed. The cliffs are scarred, the landscape littered with debris, but there, against the now-come blue of the morning sky, the St. Jude's Head Lighthouse still stands, battered, bruised, but unbroken. And in the lantern room, the great light, having pierced the darkest storm in a century, finally goes out. Its duty. On the horizon, Thomas can see them several ships, small specks on the vast expanse of the sea, sailing safely toward the harbor. They survived. They all survived, because one man, in his lonely tower, refused to let the darkness win. He had faced the monster and held his ground, proving that even the smallest light, when tended with courage and dedication, can overcome the greatest storm. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales of courage and survival. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.